Hey guys, Phil Baumhart here. So for today's knife of the week, I've got a little, calling it a bird and trout knife to show you. So this is one that I forged from a coil spring. I was trying to experiment with getting the maximum amount of width out of it using my fullering tool and different hammering techniques. So, the initial spring was, maybe about that big. So it came out longer perhaps than I desired. It's pretty easy to get length out of the coil springs more so than width, but it's got a nice broad blade. But the blade is going to be broad enough for most things you want to do with it. It's about a 1.5 inch in width there. The spine is fairly thin. It's about 1/8 of an inch, and you can see this is a full tang knife, and this was forged in that Brouter forge style. So I did as much of the shaping as I could with the hammer on the anvil. Handle itself came out fairly thick, so that gives some nice counterbalance to the weight. And then doing the little swell back here, we've got a distal taper, so it thins back down. So the balance point is right there. We go. That's the balance point. So right at the kind of ricasso which I forged in there. So it's got a long handle. The handle's long enough that if you want to choke back on it for little snap cuts and chop down some twigs or small branches, you could certainly do that. You can choke all the way up here for whittling, and did some file work, basically some jimping up here for a little bit of thumb traction. But I did the kind of vine file work first time trying that, and I think those came out really cool. A fairly simple technique. I'm sure I'll show you in a video at some point. Not something I invented, but something that was fun to try. So in that Brouter forge style, the only grinding I did on the blade was cleaning up the profile a little bit, but putting in the final edge bevels. So the taper of the edge bevels was all done with the hammer. So we've got this really cool texturing left over there from the forge. This kind of blade texturing just looks freaking sweet, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, it's sort of, this knife design is sort of if we look at history, it's kind of reminiscent of the French cartouche knife, which was a French fur trade era knife of like the 1700s, which the French fur traders, basically the frontiersmen of Michigan and the founding establishment of the Michigan territory. So I've always kind of had an affinity for that, but with the kind of modern contouring of the handle, nice little hourglass shape there. It definitely has a more elegant look than the historical knives. It kind of reminds me of the elvish daggers that Merry and Pippin had in the Lord of the Rings, for you Lord of the Rings nerds out there. So I think it's cool. I'm happy with the way this guy came out. So I kind of, in my head at least, I dubbed this the Brouter, which is a really ugly name for such an elegant knife. But like I said at the beginning, it's kind of a, size-wise, I kind of think of it as a bird and trout knife, so it's a hunting knife, field dressing knife. But because of the length of the blade, it's a 7-inch long blade, and the angle of the handle, if you can see, let's see if I can get it, I can do it right. When you grip it, the point is right in line with your hand without too much flex of the wrist. So to me, that kind of lends itself as a fighting knife of sorts, a defensive knife if you had to. So for doing kind of the rapier type thrust attacks, this sort of angle to the handle actually helps with that. So it's kind of a bird trout fighter amalgamation. So that's where the Brouter comes in, kind of a jamming up all those words together. So I don't know if you can think of a better name for it, we'll go with that. But Brouter is just what I'm calling it for now. So I also ended up putting a lanyard hole in there, nice big lanyard hole. So if you like having a lanyard on your working knives, you can do that. The handle slabs themselves are walnut. Took a nice deep rich stain, which just sort of adds to the class of this knife. So I think that's cool. Got my maker's mark there. And then the sheath is pretty cool. This is my first time doing this sort of leather work on a sheath. I was doing some historical digging, and I was looking at a knife and sheath that actually belonged to Jeremiah Johnston, aka Liver Eating Johnston, aka Jeremiah Johnson. And he had a leaf and acorn design on there with this pebbled background, as well as bordering a border stamp, just like this. So on his blade, he had this exact border design, and then inside of that was the leaf design. But this knife is so thin, I went with this one where we have like a panel beneath the belt loop attachment. So I think this looks great, and it fits the knife well. It kind of has that, that woodsy, elvish look. Did some wet molding on it, so it locks the knife in nicely. Sheath design is just the pouch style sheath with the riveted on belt loop, and so purpose of this sort of design is that you get the belt loop on there, and there's no threads or anything that can get cut by sheathing or resheathing the knife. So it's very, in my experience, been a very durable design, and it kind of looks cool. It kind of has that kind of cowboy look to it. So I threw the flower concho on there just to add to the kind of woodsy motif, and it all just sort of complements the knife well. So I might try getting into some more leather working as time goes on, but for now this is kind of dipping my toe in the water. And I almost forgot the cutting test. So this is kind of a full flat grind essentially, but yeah, good and sharp. That's what I like to see. Hell yeah. So nice little lightweight knife that would be great for a lot of woods and hunting applications. It's nice and lightweight. The knife by itself is 8.6 ounces. The knife and the sheath is 14.3. So again, something if you're doing backpacking or hiking, it's not going to weigh you down too bad. I'm sure there's lighter knives out there, but they ain't going to be as classy as this. So if you want to own this knife, it'll be on the Etsy web store. Link will be in the description box. And if you want to keep up with my latest and greatest work, links to the Instagram page and Facebook page are in the description box as well. And if you want a custom knife, you can message me on any of those platforms. Etsy, Facebook, or Instagram are good places to do that. Messaging me in the YouTube comments is not the way to go. I don't always see them, and I don't think people always see my responses. So if you want a custom knife, hit me up, Etsy preferably. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, be more Viking.